Due to the ever-present element of nostalgia and increased technological capabilities impossible in the 1990s and early 2000s, we in the 2020s live in an age of remakes. While I've never really played a Doom game before, upon the launch of the soft reboot in 2016, I was intrigued. It was finally an opportunity to delve into one of the most influential game series ever made. Alongside games like Black Mesa, Mortal Kombat 11, and Resident Evil 2, Doom 2016 is a wonderful example of one of the founding titles of the genre getting a complete and resoundingly successful modern-day overhaul. 2021 marks a half-decade since the Doom reboot was released, and it's still one hell of a time. While Doom Eternal has since released in early 2020 to commercial and critical but not unanimous acclaim, its predecessor stands well on its own as an excellent, breathtaking experience. Doom 2016 is brutal, white-knuckle action that only rewards you with time to breathe once you've slaughtered the legion of demons between you and your latest objective. It's a harrowing and unrelentingly violent trek literally through hell and back as the Doom Marine, and I loved every moment of it. For this review, I'll only be looking at the heart of the title, which I think most would agree is the single-player campaign. While Doom 2016 does feature a multiplayer mode and a map creator, those features really didn't interest me, so I won't be examining those here. If you'd like more information on those, I'm sure that there are other reviewers and players that have what you're looking for. I first played Doom 2016 in 2018 on the PlayStation 4. I didn't like it. I didn't even get past the Foundry, the third of the game's 13 levels. While at the time I couldn't put my finger on exactly why, I realized when I tried it again on PC. While controllers are my preference for some games, I think Doom 2016, and most FPSs for that matter, require a mouse and keyboard for it to truly shine. For this review, I completed the campaign on Nightmare difficulty, and on that run I unlocked all secrets, collected all data logs, collected and upgraded all runes, unlocked and maxed out all weapon mods, fully upgraded the Doom Marine's Praetor suit, and completed around 90% of all combat challenges. As for playtime, that took me a total of about 27 hours of total. Now, let's get to it. If you've never heard of nor played a Doom game before, the premise is pretty damn simple. As the anti-holy terror known only as the Doom Marine, your purpose is to tear apart every demon that you can get your gauntlets on or gun toward. In this iteration, you're summoned awake by a voice to find yourself on Mars.
Brutal, without mercy. But you will be worse. Rip and tear until it is done.
Chained into a stone sarcophagus inscribed with demonic runes. The Doom Marine leads by example and does what you'll learn to do well. He single-handedly crushes a demon's skull with his bare hand. After picking up and inspecting your first weapon, a basically useless pistol, and putting on the iconic and beautifully rendered Praetor suit and helmet, you set off to put an end to the demonic invasion that's wiped out every human being of the 60,000 or so that were on the planet. Throughout the game, you'll traverse the Union Aerospace Corporation's Mars facility and push back Hell's invasion, jump into Hell, raise everything there, and jump out again before having to go back for one last confrontation. Along the way, you'll murder every non-human creature you can find, often brutally, and that's pretty much it. While the story isn't bad, it's not exactly the focus of the game and doesn't really feature much depth, which is fine. After all, Doom is about killing demons and not so much about, for example, a Shakespearean or even Michael Bay caliber narrative. Who and What Is Here, however, is written and presented very well. Your main points of contact, Dr. Samuel Hayden and his AI counterpart Vega, are voiced appropriately, and they both seem complicated and intimidating enough to give the player second thoughts when helping them.
Vega, give him what he wants.
61,337 of the facility is on lockdown. Demonic presence through the Mars installation is critical. According to the records, Dr. Hayden, the invasion originated in the Lazarus facility. It seems that a hell wave was activated.
And if Hayden's voice didn't get to you, seeing his 3-meter mechanical frame and the metaphorical flesh might help you to understand exactly what you're dealing with.
You see, I've watched you work, come to understand your motivation. You think the only way is to kill them all, leave nothing behind. And you may be right. But we can't just shut it all down. Without Argent Energy, it will be worse. I don't expect you to agree. But with this, we can continue our work. I am not the villain in this story. I do what I do because there is no choice.
Besides the expected demons you'll get to kill, you'll follow the main antagonist, Hayden's second-in-command gone rogue, Dr. Olivia Pierce, in an effort to thwart her infernal but sincerely held machinations of faith on behalf of the Dark Lord, the Fourth Age's ruler of Hell. In a few words, Doom 2016 presentation is kind of predictable, but ultimately beautiful and gleefully disgusting. There are two main settings in the game. That of the UAC facility on Mars, in which the red planet is predictably rendered, with a heavily industrial and near-future scientific aesthetic included. As for Hell, it's also kind of predictable. Jagged, irregular rock faces, stone pillars, and a brown and red lit backdrop just kind of sums it up. It's not the most iconic rendition of Hell in a creative medium, and it's not even close to my favorite, but the artistic direction and graphical fidelity present two beautifully rendered worlds to kill demons in. Neither are the most distinctive or most beautiful of places to be in or explore, but the level design and geometry provide the player with an engaging and challenging place in which to take the fight to the denizens of Hell. Having said all of that, I don't want to imply that I didn't like the places I visited. Most parts of the UAC facility are artistically interesting and suitably foreboding at times. Hell is depicted appropriately, but it isn't as brutal a place as other games have presented as, such as Dante's Inferno or Agony. For what it's worth, this is remedied in Doom's follow-up. Doom Eternal's depiction of Hell is, in my opinion, a much darker and more insidious interpretation. Within these settings, the central characters you'll primarily interact with are the demonic hordes intent on your demise. If you're a fan of prior titles, rest assured that these enemies have been faithfully and vividly reimagined for this version. From the lowly human fodder of the possessed and the unwilling, to the putrid Mancubi and cacodemons, to the ungodly intimidation of the Hell Knights and Barons of Hell, the opposing cast is diverse and awesome to behold, and even overwhelmingly so at times, due to their physicality, array of attacks, and their tendency to work together in an effort to eviscerate you. And that's in isolation of how many there are sometimes. In the boots of the Doom Marine, you are very much outnumbered for the vast majority of this game. Finally, as for sound design and soundtrack, I'm probably not telling you anything novel when I say that they're suitably epic. While not every gun fires as impactfully as I'd like, they do offer a fitting report every time they fire. These guns sound dangerous, and that's really important. On top of this, the sound of bone snapping and flesh tearing upon striking down or tearing into a foe with the new Glory Kill system is something grimly satisfying to see and listen to. I often found myself glory killing enemies just for their satisfying rips and crunches rather than just unceremoniously shooting them to death like most titles will have you do. In addition, the zombies moan, the imps howl, the revenants scream at you, and the Hell Knights and Barons of Hell bellow at you as they're chasing you down in an effort to crush you under fist and hoof. A vital part of what makes this experience so engaging and even terrifying is the quality of the sounds that you hear. From the ambient noises within the levels to the vicious and often pained screams of the demons themselves, the sound is top-notch at implementing an immersive experience throughout. On this next point, I'm most certainly in the minority on this, but I've for years turned off the music to a game as soon as I fired up. I do this for immersion's sake, because in my mind, if I were really in that world, there wouldn't be some ambient soundtrack playing at all times. For Doom, though, I decided to not even look for the option, and I'm so glad I did. Composed by Aussie Mick Gordon, the soundtrack is fitting for a god of war on the underworld. Seriously, when you enter a room only for the door to slam shut behind you and that music starts up, you know that, depending on the difficulty you've chosen, you're up for one hell of a challenge and or a gleeful slaughterfest of those soon-to-be grisly puddles beneath your boots. It's motivating, epic, and even if you're on Nightmare, it truly makes you feel like the badass that you're portraying. Finally, from a technical perspective, Doom 2016 is optimized rather well. I had no noticeable frame rate drops, no noticeable graphical errors, and at no point did the game lag. I also experienced no crashes whatsoever to desktop or otherwise, and that's 30 hours of playtime. While this may not hold true for everyone depending on the configuration of their hardware and software, this was my experience with the game. In the future, there are guns, but you'll get about 10 with which to take the war to hell. From the combat shotgun to the heavy assault rifle, from the plasma rifle to the BFG, you're going to have a wide variety of weapons, some more fantastical than others with which to raise hell with. In addition to their base function of projecting whatever ammunition they use, each useful weapon has 2 additional alternative firing modes. In the case of the combat shotgun, one option is to fire 3 shells into an enemy or enemies in quick succession, while the other lobs a sort of explosive grenade shell at your intended target. The heavy assault rifle features either a scope that aids in long-range automatic fire or a micro-missile module that propels missiles into the flesh of your targets before exploding. My personal favorite was the plasma rifle. While it does have a stun bomb function that's not terribly distinctive from the combat shotgun's lob projectile, its alternative is a devastating AoE blast of heat that's accumulated by the plasma rifle's repeated fire. To upgrade weapons, you'll earn upgrade points simply by killing demons and fulfilling up to 3 gameplay challenges per level. Essentially, the more demons you kill and the more challenges you complete, the more powerful and versatile your weapons can become. In addition to the weapons, the Praetor suit can be upgraded with tokens taken from fallen elite guards to change how the Doom Marine plays, such as climbing up ledges more quickly, decrease in weapon self-damage, increase in grenade carry capacity, and others. Similarly, Argent Energy, the game's fictional power source refined from Hell Energy, can also be collected and absorbed to increase the suit's max health, armor, or ammo capacity. There are also smaller cosmetic collectibles hidden throughout each level that unlock the character models in the main menu, but otherwise, these have no effect on gameplay. In addition to weapon and suit upgrades, a few mechanics have been added to the game to aid the Marine in your fight. The Doom Marine is described as becoming stronger as he fights and overcomes the hordes of hell, and that comes across in 2 main ways, the Glory Kill and the Chainsaw. In addition to looking and sounding absolutely brutal, Glory Kills always award health, and according to what runes you earn and equip throughout the game, can also reward you with armor. You're incentivized not only to attack your foes, but also to engage them intelligently, which sometimes means saving them for later. Staggering and saving smaller foes for health pickups after defeating a larger, more dangerous foe is often a life-saving tactic. Where a Glory Kill will provide you with some health, the Chainsaw, which consumes fuel commensurate with the size of the demon you use it on, will provide you with a deluge of ammo, even against the smallest of foes. While there were, in my opinion, an adequate amount of ammo pickups in the environment most of the time, there were times where I started to note just how little ammo I had after what was often a prolonged engagement. Rather than getting nervous, however, I just whipped out my trusty chainsaw, used it to extract that precious ammo from some unlucky demon's innards, and went right on my murderous way. The other great thing about the chainsaw, in addition to the ammo and the vicious kill animations you get each time you use it, is that it's a one-hit kill. If you have enough fuel for, say, a Baron of Hell, you turn what could be a death sentence into a cakewalk, with free bullets as dessert. The other one-hit kill weapon is the BFG. Similar to the other Doom games in this series, this thing shoots out a projected ball of murder that chains plasma to enemies and causes them to explode from within. It's brutal stuff, and don't be afraid to use it. While the ammo is limited in the gun and kind of scarce on each level after its inclusion, the BFG can often turn a seemingly impossible encounter into a much more manageable, even trivial fight. Finally, there are sometimes power-ups located within encounter arenas that provide temporary boosts such as increased damage and invincibility that can help you start strong in a fight or turn the tide in your favor if things were going poorly. While the weapons are important, what you'll be shooting with them is every bit as vital to the experience. And believe me, these enemies are truly worthy of the title of Nightmare. At higher difficulty levels, every single enemy in the game is a genuine threat to your survival, and not just sometimes, but every single time you encounter them. If you're careless or caught unaware, it's surprisingly easy for even a single fodder, possessed, or a basic imp demon to force you to your own death animation and back to the restart screen. Each enemy is formidable, challenging, and most importantly, fun to fight. There were very few times in which I felt like I was unfairly overwhelmed or inadequately equipped to deal with the enemies thrown at me in the game. That's not to say that a checkpoint won't sometimes kind of screw you a bit, but there's always a way forward. Even when I felt frustrated and did die often, I was excited to throw myself back into the fray and learn from my mistakes and seize the wind from the entrails of whatever horde of demons I was up against. The Doom Marine is a consummate badass who's more than capable of ripping apart any demon he encounters and tearing them limb from limb out of this world or the next. It's up to you to rise up to that challenge. Doom 2016 doesn't contain any microtransactions or DLC of any kind. Currently, the base price sits at $20 American on Steam in the United States, but you can often find it on sale on Steam or on other platforms for much less, like I did for this review. In my opinion, the real genius of Doom lies within a combination of factors. The level design, composition, and placement of demons, and wealth of weapons and mechanics available to you makes each encounter uniquely dangerous, but manageable. One last note, my strongest piece of advice regarding this game is to play it on Nightmare difficulty. While I'm Too Young to Die or Hurt Me Plenty difficulty levels may get you through the game's levels and its narrative, those are not at all the centerpieces of the title. In my opinion, the game is at its best when it's putting you through hell, forcing you to try new approaches and conceiving of new plans, all the while. Finally, I'd advise not shying away from your enemies in this game. After all, that's where the health, ammo, and armor are, within their innards. Be the monster the demons think they are. Pick your targets, move forward, and take your time in tearing your foes apart. The enemies you encounter don't seem to be all that afraid of you. Be the Doom Marine, and teach them why they should be. Doom 2016 is, in a word, transcendental. It's not perfect, but no high is. It takes you on a journey in which you are the monster. You are what demons fear most. You are the deep, dark secret that's been locked away, the unholy terror that's waited to be unburied and unleashed as man-made death. This game liberates you and lets you experience that. If this sounds appealing to you and for whatever reason you haven't played Doom yet, or if like our friend at the start, you have it buried away, forgotten somewhere in your library, you really should, until it is done.